Hello everybody, welcome back to a new video. My name is Sarah and today I'm going to be doing a if you liked this book then try this book kind of recommendation list. I've never done one of these before and it's a pretty standard booktube type of video to do, but surprisingly when I went to go compile a list in the past to try to do one of these videos, I've always had kind of a hard time finding decent comparisons. I don't know why. This time I think I have 6 or 7 comparisons. As I was pulling the books off the shelf of the list that I had already made, I did just kind of on a whim pull off a couple more with kind of an idea of how they could be similar. So the way I'm going to be doing this is I'm going to be kind of giving if you like this more kind of well-known book or a book that I've heard more people talking about, then I think you will like this kind of lesser known or lesser talked about book that I really enjoyed. Obviously many of these can go either way. You know, if you've read the book that I'm actually recommending but you haven't read the book that I am initially comparing it to, obviously, you know, goes either way. So if you liked The Bear and the Nightingale by Catherine Arden and you liked kind of the folklore, wintry, woodsy vibes of this book, then I definitely think you will like The Wolf and the Woodsman by Ava Reed. The Bear and the Nightingale is more focused on Russian folklore. Wolf and the Woodsman focuses more on Jewish folklore, but they both are very focused in a woodsy, foresty setting. This is definitely set in winter. Obviously you can see by the cover this one is kind of autumn and winter. There are some very chilly, wintry scenes in this book, so I think it gives the same vibe. Both of these books follow a young woman as they're kind of thrust on this journey and kind of quest that is centered around folk tales coming to life. I just think that they're very comparable. They're very good for sitting in a cozy room wrapped in your blankets to read. So I think, yeah, if you're looking for kind of a cozy, wintry forest vibe that is focused around folklore and kind of set in a northern and eastern European setting, I think these both are pretty comparable. So my next comparison actually starts with 2 books on the if you like this side then you'll like this book kind of a thing, but if you liked the kind of gothic, dark, creepy atmosphere of Mexican Gothic along with the nature-infused body horror, and you liked the nature-infused body horror of Wilder Girls but you wanted it kicked up a notch, I would suggest checking out House of Holo by Crystal Sutherland, because this one definitely has the creepy, dark, atmospheric vibe, almost kind of like a dreamy but dreadful feel that Mexican Gothic had, and it has the nature-infused body horror but cranked up a couple notches compared to where Wilder Girls was. I think it's definitely more on the horror scale than Wilder Girls. Wilder Girls felt more just kind of weird, but not necessarily horror weird, just kind of unsettling weird, whereas this is definitely very, very creepy. Regardless, if you haven't read both of these books but you've read one or the other and you liked one of these, I think you will really like House of Holo. Next, if you liked kind of the historical setting of a mystery with supernatural elements in The Devil in the Dark Water, then I think you will really like Things in Jars by Jess Kidd. Now these two are set in different time periods. This is the 1600s, this is the 1800s, I think late 1800s, and they have very different atmospheres. This one's definitely kind of a darker, creepier, more unsettling ship voyage kind of a vibe, whereas this feels more Victorian era, slightly whimsical, but also suspenseful at the same time. But it overall has a bit of a lighter vibe than The Devil in the Dark Water. However, they both have very supernatural aspects and they both have very kick-ass female leads, specifically female leads that are very outspoken and kind of headstrong in a society and time period that requires them to be the complete opposite. I think Sarah in this book reminds me a lot of Brittany in this book, and I just really loved both of those lead characters. So I think if you've enjoyed The Devil in the Dark Water, which I haven't heard like a lot of people talk about, but I've heard a fair amount of people talk about this one compared to Things in Jars, which I've never heard anybody on BookTube talk about it. I think you will like this one though. It was actually one of my top 10 books of 2020. I just really loved it. While this one deals more with like a demon devilish kind of murder mystery, this is more of like a missing persons mystery dealing with like a potential mermaid child, but you're not sure if she's actually a mermaid or if it's just kind of one of those hoaxy things of like, you know, back when the big circuses started happening and you would have like the, for lack of a better term, freak show type of things, and people with just some sort of medical issues would be put on like a display. It's got that kind of theme going on. However, you don't know if it's one of those cases or if it's actually like a supernatural type of thing. But they're both really fun mysteries. They're both rather complex as well, which I had a lot of fun with in both of these books. So if you liked the complexity of the mystery in this one, I think you will like the same aspect in Things in Jars. So next, if you liked kind of the complex politics and the very politically centered fantasy aspect of The City of Brass by S.A. Chakraborty, I would definitely recommend checking out The Wolf of Oren-Yaro, which is over here, by K.S. Veloso. They are both heavily based on like political storylines, and the fantasy elements comes out much more in this book than it does in The Wolf of Oren-Yaro. However, there's enough in this first book that I have a feeling it's definitely going to pop out more in the next two books. Now, I read the full trilogy of The City of Brass, the David Bag trilogy. I've only read the first one of The Wolf of Oren-Yaro. However, the politics and how complex they were in The Wolf of Oren-Yaro definitely reminded me of The City of Brass. They're also non-European based fantasies. Now, The City of Brass is based on Middle Eastern culture, folklore, fantasy, whereas The Wolf of Oren-Yaro is based off of Filipino culture and folklore. So very different. But if you're looking for something that is like not European focused or European influenced, and you liked City of Brass, I would recommend The Wolf of Oren-Yaro. If you were like me and you were in high school or you're in high school now, but you grew up enjoying the John Green novels and you liked kind of the coming of age and introspective perspective on them and kind of just the kind of let's talk about life and what it means to live and be a human, and grow up and kind of have to tackle all of these different problems that life throws at you, kind of aspect of John Green's books, I would recommend checking out Anxious People by Frederick Bachman. This is geared towards adults. It definitely tackles topics meant for adults, whereas John Green's books tackle topics meant for teenagers. However, it has that same like, let's contemplate life and let's talk about what it means to be a person in today's society and kind of the struggles that everybody goes through type of book. Whereas John Green's books kind of have a melancholy, more sad vibe to them, with kind of hopeful undertones. This is more like very hopeful and tackling sad topics, but with like a sense of almost sickly optimism at times. However, I do think that they like kind of complement each other very well. So I do think if you liked the vibe of John Green's books, but you're looking for more of an uplifting version and an adult version of them, I would recommend checking out Anxious People. And then lastly, if you really liked the just weird, strange, bizarre, psychological horror element of Bunny by Mona Awad, I would definitely recommend checking out I'm Thinking of Ending Things by Ian Reid. They are both very, very different books, but they both, their horror elements are both very psychological horror. I will say that Bunny and that horror element kicks up really fast in the novel. However, with I'm Thinking of Ending Things, it takes a while to get there. Give it a chance. You will probably spend the first half of the book being like, what are we even doing here? It is kind of boring, but there is a whole purpose to that first half. I swear there is. It's definitely worth it. Just stick with it. I would actually recommend reading the audiobook of I'm Thinking of Ending Things. That's how I listened to it or read it, and the way that the audiobook handles a specific thing that kind of really kicks the horror up a notch. I think it does it so well compared to how it would like be perceived if you're reading it. I don't know, it's hard to explain without spoiling it, but I almost think that the audiobook, because of that one specific scene, is better than just the normal like physical book. If you kind of just want to sit there at the end and be like, what did I just read? Like, what is even going on? And like just kind of be like, my brain hurts, but also this is crazy and terrifying and like a psychological aspect. I would definitely recommend reading either of these. I know Bunny is definitely talked about quite a bit on booktube, and I've only heard a couple people talk about I'm Thinking of Ending Things, but I would definitely recommend reading it if you liked Bunny. And also, I know that there is a Netflix show of I'm Thinking of Ending Things. I have not watched it myself, but based off of just how I know the book is structured, and based off of what other people who have read both the book and watched the show, or just watched the show, have told me, don't bother with the show. It's way too confusing, and it doesn't take the, it doesn't like keep the essence of the book and the story very well. It just doesn't translate well to TV shows, just because a lot of it is kind of a very internal, mentally focused story. So those are my, if you liked that book, try this book recommendations. This is the first time I've ever made one of these videos, so hopefully I did an okay job explaining some of these. I know I didn't really go into plots too much with these books. Actually, I probably didn't go into any plots at all. However, I kind of did that on purpose because I was wanting to just kind of go based off of a comparison of those specific elements of those books, or like if you're looking for a specific element of a book, because sometimes I actually think some books are almost better to go into knowing just that specific element that you're looking for and not the rest of the plot. But I do always leave links to all the books that I'm talked about down below with their like links to their synopses on Goodreads. So if you are interested more in kind of what specifically the story is about, that will be down below. If you have any this and that kind of recommendations, let me know down in the comments below, or if you would kind of give a different comparison than what I did, I would love to hear it. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you consider sticking around and subscribing, and as always, I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!